It's time for the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast.
Oh, indeed. Another episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. We have another packed episode for you. NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs starting off. Then we'll switch to some NFL talk and so much more. Me and CJ on the other side. Stay tuned.
Indeed, I'm glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby, on Sports Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in to yet again another episode of my podcast. Yes, indeed, I am Josh Kirby.
And I'm CJ Mintier.
CJ, my great co-host, how are we doing today?
Always fantastic as always, Josh.
Oh, man, I can't wait to dig into yet another episode. It's playoff season here. Winter sports wrapping up. The NBA and NHL playoffs are starting, so we'll be covering all that and so much more. But first, the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast is part of the Mayo Please Podcast Network, and thank you to Route 11 Chips for sponsoring this episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. You know where to find them, Martin's, Food Lion, and Giant. Thanks to Dave Johnson once again for our intro, and Mild Swagger by Cosmo, PremiumBeat.com. Without further ado, CJ, let's get into it. Well, I think we're starting with these crazy NHL playoffs here. I think you can agree with me. These playoffs have been nothing short of interesting so far, and I want to...
More like insane.
Oh, my gosh. So, starting off, the Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. And is this something you expected? Tampa Bay down 3-0?
Okay, listen to me here. I did not expect them to go down 3-0, but I did expect them not to make it to the Stanley Cup because I've said before that the past 3 seasons, the winner of the President's Trophy has not made it to the Stanley Cup, nor have they won it. Because last year, of course, you guys played Tampa Bay, who won the President's Trophy. You guys beat them. The previous 2 years, it was the Caps in Pittsburgh beat them both times. But no, I did not expect this from Columbus. But me and you were talking before the show that Columbus, the past 2 seasons before this, they've faced the Stanley Cup champions in the first round both times. In 2017, they played Pittsburgh, who won the Stanley Cup. And then last year, they played Washington, who won the Stanley Cup.
And granted, Columbus did have a 2-0 lead.
Fight, yeah.
Yes, they did. But that's because Barry Trotz didn't put in Braden Holtby to start and put in Philip Grubauer. But people were starting to think that this Columbus team would be the same as last year when they faced the Capitals. But as we're recording right now, they are playing against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and
they are winning 2-1 right now.
And they're on the brink of elimination. The Tampa Bay Lightning are on the brink of elimination.
After winning 62 games.
Yes, the best team in the NHL, in the Eastern Conference.
In terms of record, yes.
Yes. So, yeah, I sort of just want to glide through this real quick. Game 1, Columbus was down a 3-0 goal lead with 3 goals in the first by Tampa Bay. That's most of their hard scoring. And then Columbus comes back in regulation and beats them 4-3.
Yep.
And for the game 2,
they won 5-1. They mopped the floor with them in the second game in Tampa.
Yeah, and people weren't expecting that.
No, especially not in Tampa's home stadium.
Yeah.
That was not to be expected.
Game 2, such a commanding win for them.
And then it went back to Columbus.
But interesting thing, Nikita Kucherov, their best goal scorer, gets suspended for injuring Victor Hedman. And he's out game 3, and they
Didn't
lose
seem to have
yet
a
again.
problem.
Nope.
Didn't seem to have a problem at all. Won 3-1 in the third game.
Yeah, and they're playing right now. So it's interesting to see. as they are on right now, 2-1, you said. So these playoffs, I just think they're going to get more and more intense as they go on. Next teams, I know you have a lot to say about this. Your Pittsburgh Penguins on the brink of elimination tonight as well, facing former Stanley Cup head coach Barry Trotz and the New York Islanders. Sort of wanted to get your thoughts on what you think the Penguins are trying to do. You think they can mount a comeback, or are they just going to get beat tonight?
So, realistically, I think they will focus on just one game at a time. Mike Sullivan's a good head coach for us. He absolutely is. But the Islanders really are just playing with so much passion. I have to give a lot of credit to Barry Trotz, because in Game 2, when I was turning the game on, they just looked like a completely different team. Coming back from a season that they had last year to now, to finishing, of course, second to you guys in the Metropolitan Division, they just look fantastic. And also, the Penguins are just making so many mistakes. The Islanders already have 2 power play goals this series, and that's not good, especially in the first round of the playoffs. Power play goals, you should not be giving up. They are technically an advantage for the other team, but you should not be giving up 2 already in the first round. But Barry Trotz, I give a lot of credit to them, because the Pittsburgh Penguins, me and you were talking, they just do not look like the same team 2 years ago. They don't. The thing is that it's hard to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. It's hard to. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose tonight and we go out 4-0, and I'd be okay with that, because we just did not look like we were prepared for the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, so quick score down. Game 1, New York won in overtime 4-3. Then Game 2 in regulation, New York 3-1. Then Game 3, New York 4-1 in Pittsburgh. So that game is going on in the first period as we are recording right now. Pittsburgh on the board first.
Oh, wow, within 50 seconds of the game, too.
Wow.
That's okay.
Uh-oh, they're on the board first.
Yeah,
but,
well, we were last game too, and then we lost 4-1. So
yep.
you can't keep your hopes up there.
Yeah. So the next the next series I want to get to is the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals against the Carolina Hurricanes, who haven't been in the playoffs in 10 plus years. So, Carolina's going to be rowdy. They're going to be crazy. Their fans are excited that they're in the playoffs.
They weren't just rowdy in Game 3, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so Game 1, Cap 1, home ice for the Caps. They came out rocking the first 2 periods, in my opinion. Nicholas Backstrom, 2 goals in the first period. What a guy. But then Carolina, they started to inch back, but ended up the Caps holding on to win 4-2 with an empty netter towards the end of the game, 19-23 in the third period. So, yeah, I mean, they didn't look like the best team on ice, to be honest. There's some things they could have cleaned up. And Game 2, which I had the great honor of going to. Oh, my gosh, it was amazing. Yeah, on playoff hockey in person, if you haven't, buy tickets to a hockey game.
I don't want to spend $200, though.
I got mine for free.
Oh, well, that's exactly why I don't want to spend $200.
Yeah, but anyways, first round playoff tickets, though, they aren't that expensive, but it's always fun to watch hockey. But playoff hockey, the best hockey ever. I highly suggest it. So anyways, that was a Saturday game, and we had some free hockey overtime for the Caps, but it wasn't the best game out there. Backstrom got us on the board first for the Caps, and then Oshie did, but then Carolina goes to score 2 straight after that. And then in the third period, with 15 left, the Hurricanes decided to tie, and then it ended up going into overtime. But not for long after that, Brooks Orpik finishes the game with a game-winning overtime goal. But still, I still think the Caps had more potential that they gave on the ice, like not finishing on the power plays and stuff like that. Just sloppy puck handling, like some stuff they had to clean up. And in the game last night in Carolina, shifting to Carolina, first off, Alexander Ovechkin, don't pick a fight with him. It KO'd, what's the guy's name? I forget his name, but wow. He KO'd a rookie with 3 punches. And I was like, you never want to... Shnevsikov. Andrei Shnevsikov, if I'm botching.
You probably butchered that.
Yeah,
but we'll go ahead
I probably
with it.
did. Yeah, I did. But anyways, he was provoking Ovi, and Ovi ended up asking him to drop the gloves, and Ovi dropped the gloves and 3 punches to the face. Later, he's getting escorted off the ice. So, anyways,
it's over the Capitals after losing 5-0.
Yes. So that, yeah, I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. You're not going to win them all.
Well, for their first playoff game since 2000, home playoff game since 2009.
The fans were crazy. The fans were rowdy.
Yeah.
And, it came down to not converting on the power play, obviously, because how many power plays do they have in this one? Like, seriously, for who was it? The Carolina Hurricanes, they had, if I remember correctly...
You guys had 4 power play opportunities and you couldn't convert, and Carolina had 5, and they converted on 2 of them.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I was having trouble looking at that. But, yeah, obviously the power play, it was difficult, and just sloppy puck handling. They got to make better passes, and the first goal I saw Carolina make, that was a complete, just... tipped off the back of Holtby's back and going into the goal. But anyways, they have 48 hours to get things straight, but I think the Caps have it. You can't win them all. And Carolina, they showed their fans out there today, and it was, last night, and it was actually very interesting to see how loud it got in there, and boy, did it get loud.
Yeah. Good job by your Caps. You have to win your second game in Carolina, though.
Yeah,
before you can take it back home.
Definitely. Yep. Game 5 is on Saturday in D.C. now after that loss. So, a quick rundown of some other scores. Boston, if I'm correct, is down 2-1 against Toronto, and Colorado 2-1 over Calgary so far. Vegas
Nashville.
Golden Knights 2-1, and what was it last night? Nashville beat Dallas. That was a close game. I watched some of it. Yeah, Dallas was actually on a 5-on-3. They could not convert.
That's happened multiple times, and I do not understand how.
Yeah, I don't understand. You
That's
keep
terrible puck play.
You just keep shooting it on net. Something's got to give,
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, that was a problem for the Caps. That during the power play, they weren't just firing at the net. I think in the second period, they only had 1 shot on goal. That's unacceptable, and hopefully the coaching staff can get them right for the next game on Saturday. No, on Thursday. So moving right along, any last thoughts on NHL playoffs?
Yeah, the Islanders tied it up 1-1 now, so not too happy about that, but that's okay.
As we're recording right now.
No, it's always a good time for hockey, and whoever, even if Pittsburgh loses, I'm always going to watch it because Doc Emmerich will be on very shortly on NBC on the main channel, so it'll be very good to listen to some hockey.
Yeah, so moving on, we're going to segue right to the NBA playoffs. I haven't really watched much. I'm not sure if you have, but some...
You don't know what happened last night between the Clippers and Warriors?
DeMarcus Cousins with an knee
He's out
injury?
indefinitely. But no, that is not it at all. The LA Clippers came back from 31 points down to beat the Golden State Warriors.
135 to 131.
Yeah, they came back from 31 points down. It's the
I'm
biggest
sorry.
comeback in playoff history.
I'm sorry, I didn't even know when that.
Watch some
NBA
basketball for once in your life.
Yes, I apologize. I do apologize. But one topic I want to get into, Philadelphia's Amir Johnson was caught. He wasn't dressed. He was caught on the sidelines with his cell phone out. Apparently his daughter was sick.
Yes, that is what Joel Embiid said, that he was looking down at his phone because he said his daughter was extremely sick and he was checking on her.
Yeah. I completely understand that, family over everything. If you
I
know
completely understand that, yeah, but it seemed like the 76ers didn't care whatsoever because they still fined him.
Yeah, but it is game 2 of a first-round playoff game, and you know the.
I still don't understand your logic there. If your daughter's sick, I don't care if it's a playoff game.
Now I understand that, but still, it's a playoff game, and they gotta stay focused. They got that win on Monday, and they're tied up in the series now 1-1. No, excuse me.
Yes, they are. It's tied 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1 in the series. That's right. I was just making sure. But anyways, yeah, family over everything, you know. But if he's gonna get fined, I wouldn't be surprised if he appealed it or something like that. But
no, he accepted the fine. It wasn't that big of a deal to him, but I still believe that he was in the right. He should be checking on his daughter. But some people want to say that you should have that squared away before the game, and things can happen. Life happens. I don't understand what is so bad about him wanting to check on his younger daughter. I really don't understand what is the big issue about that.
yeah,
And they, of course, they lost 111 to 102 the first game. Yeah, it wasn't the best showing by the 76ers. But this next game that they had against the Brooklyn Nets, they scored 51 points in one quarter. 51 points. That kind of reminds me of the regular season when the Warriors played the Bulls. They scored 92 points in the first half. 92 points in the first half. And now the 76ers are scoring 51. A good friend of mine at work, he said, the Warriors can't seem to win a game when the numbers 3 and 1 are involved in the game. Do you understand the joke? They blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals.
Yep.
I also said, and they also can't beat teams that start with the letter C and end with ers when it involves a 3 and a 1. Please tell me you understand that, Josh. Clippers, Cavaliers. Oh my goodness! Come on, think about it, dude.
I'm sorry, I'm off tonight, but yeah, I don't think the Warriors have what it takes to get back.
Oh, I absolutely do. I don't see this as an issue for them. They're the only team that is out there in the NBA playoffs, other than I believe the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, Milwaukee Bucks. My goodness. Giannis almost dunked it from the free throw line. The Greek freak.
It's a shame that the Pistons put up that type of an effort against them. Only lost by they only lost by 35 points to the Bucks in the first game. That's not too bad, right? For the worst team in the East.
Yeah, so but going back to DeMarcus Cousins, that's really huge for the Warriors, that missing a big player for the playoffs.
Honestly, I don't think it's that big of an issue because they were without him for most of the season to begin with. They didn't have him on the lineup to begin with, and they were able to start with him, and they were able to play without him for most of the season. Heck, they won 2 back-to-back NBA championships without him. They will be okay without DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, so NBA playoffs, just a brief look. So I want to get into another NBA topic here. Magic Johnson announced on TV that he was stepping away. He was leaving the president of the Lakers, and the Lakers seem like they're clearing house now. And with LeBron on the team, I think they're going to bring in Tyronn Lue from the Cavaliers, who got fired. And that would be great to see if Tyronn would return with LeBron and maybe turn him into a NBA Finals caliber team. But anyways, what we know about this, Magic Johnson's superior boss or whatever, Jeannie Buss, was not informed. She found out the same way we did on TV, and apparently she put him in a position to give him so much power, and apparently Magic Johnson just didn't like that anymore. But I watched the press conference. I sort of get where he was coming from, with trying to have some fun, mentor people and stuff. And I do remember, I believe it was a year or two ago, where Magic said, "If I can't turn this team around, I'm stepping down." Because he said if he can't turn the team around, he's going to step down. And I think he just couldn't turn the team around, and he kept his promise.
Yeah, there wasn't this team that was made for Magic Johnson. He was not the right guy because, you look at when the Lakers were getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting down towards the end of the season, what was Magic Johnson doing? He was at a Michigan State game in the NCAA tournament. He wasn't giving a crap about his team. And on top of that, he was basically there by himself. He basically hired himself. He's a Laker legend, of course. But the thing is that he was just not meant for this team. And neither was Luke Walton, because he was fired immediately. And now I think he actually
he's on the King.
He's
Sacramento.
on the Kings watch. And now
no, they hired him.
Okay, so they officially did.
Yeah.
But Tyronn Lue, yes, absolutely. And now I could see Kyrie Irving coming back to LA with Ty Lue. I absolutely could. So we could see another reunion with LeBron and Kyrie once again, because those two complement each other very well. But Magic Johnson stepping down, it's not the biggest problem in the world. I honestly forgot that he was their director of basketball operations. I forgot he was their president. I forgot all of that about Magic Johnson, because you know why? After Kobe Bryant left, they have been nothing. And even when Kobe Bryant was there in his last few seasons, the Lakers have been nothing. And LeBron James was brought in to turn around a team that was going to be nothing, because you have to compete against teams like the Golden State Warriors, like the Rockets, like the Spurs, like all these other teams out here that are going to compete for the NBA Finals every single year. And that is not going to happen with one player in LeBron James. It's not going to happen, especially from Magic Johnson's standpoint. So I'm not surprised. I could care less, because the Lakers, they need more than just... They need a whole rebuild. They do.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now with LeBron on the team and how successful they can be. But as I said earlier, with LeBron going to Los Angeles, Luke Walton was coaching him, and they got drafted together. So split that team up. So anyways, with the NBA playoffs looming, I'm so off today. But anyways, I want to talk about three legends retiring from the NBA. Dwayne Wade on his farewell tour this year. What an amazing story he had, and what an amazing way to finish it off. And with LeBron James there, Carmelo Anthony,
and CP3, Chris Paul.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was there. But anyways, them being there for him, what a great way to finish the season for Dwayne Wade and capping off a wonderful career.
Yeah, my brother, he's been a Dwayne Wade fan his whole career. And, of course, people still have the notion that, Dwayne Wade didn't win any championships without LeBron. Well, he actually did. He won one with Shaq back in 2006. I still remember that, when they beat Dallas, of course. But LeBron didn't win championships without Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh or that Miami Heat team. I remember those days. I actually enjoyed the NBA back then.
Yeah.
Because the Miami Heat were just a fun team to watch.
Yeah, it was really fun to see them perform, and that was when basketball was fun.
I actually think that, like, when it was down in South Beach in Miami and we saw the white crowd of just white T-shirts, it was awesome. I think one of the best NBA finals were the back-to-back finals against the Mavericks and Heat and the Thunder and Heat, because those two finals were awesome. Even though the Heat didn't win against the Mavericks, that's because that Mavericks team was unreal. But Dwayne Wade was the reason why LeBron James won championships down in Miami. And not just that, Dwayne Wade was a hell of a defensive player. Unbelievable. And for Paul Pierce, I don't know if you heard
Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, the legend.
What, because he played for Washington?
Yeah.
Okay. But Paul
He
Pierce
called
saying,
game. He called game in the playoffs. He had so many ridiculous shots. That's when I watched Wizards basketball. That was amazing. Paul Pierce getting the job done. His nickname, The Truth. And he called game. 3 people on him, fades away at the buzzer and wins the game, and Washington goes crazy. You know, they end up losing to the Hawks because, you know, the Wizards weren't the best. But Paul Pierce, I really did enjoy him on the Wizards.
Yeah, but back to my point of saying that he said that he had a better career than Dwayne Wade.
No.
There's no question
No.
he didn't.
I don't know why the heck he said that, but he is.
Well,
just,
he's an athlete and he wants to have that ego about him, that he wants to believe that he's the best. But honestly, Paul Pierce didn't win his championship without Ray Allen or Kevin Garnett or Rajon or any of those guys back in Boston. And even Doc Rivers was their head coach. They had a team around them that wasn't just Paul Pierce. Dwayne Wade won a championship without LeBron James, but he was the reason why they were able to win it back-to-back years against the Thunder and Spurs. He was that reason. And he was also the reason why they went to 4 straight with LeBron James. I will miss Dwayne Wade because he was a great player to watch. And I miss the times of when Miami was at the helm of the NBA, because it was a fun time to watch when Dwayne Wade was one of the big faces of the NBA back then. So I'll miss Dwayne Wade. And the farewell video that he had, it kind of brought me to tears. It kind of did. It was a great video. It really was.
Yeah, it almost brought me to tears too. I think we should.
I think you're lying.
Oh, get out of here. Nah, but moving on to Dirk Nowitzki, the Dallas Mavericks great. Another player who did great things for the Mavericks. He had his farewell season this season and capped a great career off.
I think it's crazy how Dirk basically played these past 3 seasons for a terrible team. Because let's face it, the Mavericks have not been a great team these past couple of years. They haven't. They haven't made it to the playoffs. Heck, I don't even think they've won over 40 games once in these past couple of seasons. But Dirk has been the one shining light of the Dallas franchise, maybe other than Jason Terry, of course. But the thing is that 2011 team was unreal for Dirk Nowitzki. And now we see Dirk as one of the best players of all time in my book, but he's gone out the right way. He'll be a Hall of Famer, but he's an NBA Finals MVP, and he's an NBA champion as well. And he's a player he's not from the USA. He's from Germany. He's not from here. And so to have the career that he has being an international person, I think that's great for Dirk. And also, one of the things that I think really shows the type of character he is that even when Dallas was losing in one of their games this year, Doc Rivers stopped the game to get on the mic and say, "You guys are witnessing one of the greatest players to ever play this game in Dirk Nowitzki." And they were in Los Angeles. So he literally stopped the game to just say that, and the place went crazy. That speaks volumes about what Dirk is to the Mavericks. And it's a shame that he didn't play on a better team these past couple of years. But he has a ring, and he's going to go down as one of the best ever. Yeah,
and the next and final one, Manu Ginobili.
Manu. Say
Manu.
it right.
Sorry.
Say it right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this is huge too because my dad, who has been a big Greg Popovich fan, and the thing about
Popovich is hilarious. I'll
oh
tell
yeah,
you
his
that.
interviews are great. But
His interview after he got ejected, storming in on the opposing coaches.
yeah,
like,
I saw that.
Who's that guy who got ejected?
Who got ejected? Oh man, yeah. I think that my dad, he was always a big Tim Duncan fan. He was always a big Spurs fan back in the day, and the Spurs, they beat my favorite team ever back in the day was the Pistons. When they had Ben Wallace, when they had Chauncey Billups, when they had Rashad Hamilton, when they had all those guys, the Spurs were able to do it. And it was because of one of their guys named Manu Ginobili. I think one of the most notorious things we have ever seen was when Manu Ginobili slapped a bat out of the middle of the air onto the court and just picked it up like a badass. He just did that type of stuff. That was the type of player that Manu Ginobili
I
was.
remember that.
He comes in the clutch whenever he needs to, and it's great to see him go out, especially when Tim Duncan was talking about him in his farewell speech, saying, "We got who?" You said, Manu Ginobili? Who's that? I think it was one of the best speeches ever because Manu, he is, once again, he's a foreigner. He's not from the United States. In the career that he had, he's an NBA champion. He's a multiple NBA champion. But the dude, once again, he played for a long time, just like Dirk, and he played until it was time to say goodbye. And I also think that that bat slapping is one of the best moments we will ever see in the NBA because the bat actually played defense and Manu didn't get called for a foul on that one.
So, nonetheless, these three players were really great back in the day, and they made the NBA fun for me to watch. I don't know about you, but
oh yeah,
they will definitely be missed in our book.
I guess it says like because I look at the way that the NBA was back in, let's say, like the early 2000s. And I look at the way that it has transitioned to now. I look at these three players. They were all around back in the early 2000s. And I look at these players, Dwayne Wade, I look at Dirk, and I look at Manu. And these were three players. They all have one thing in common. They're all champions. And they all have had immaculate careers. And they will never be forgotten. And everyone in their franchises will never forget them either. And no matter what happens, I hope they succeed in whatever they do because I've watched every single one of them win an NBA championship, and I'm glad to see them go out on top still.
Amen to that. Moving on. Russell Wilson. Wow. Russell Wilson says he's not going to commit if the Seahawks didn't get a deal done by the 15th, was it?
It was last night.
Yeah. And
by 11:55, the deadline, he said.
He got it.
Lost
4
a little
years,
there.
$140 million.
$65 million signing bonus.
Yep. So that huge signing for Russell Wilson to stay in Seattle. But, Seattle's lost a lot of players. Earl Thomas. The defense isn't the Legion of Boom anymore. And, the offense, it's all right. They had an average season, in my opinion. So hopefully he can turn the team around.
I lost a little respect, though, for Russell Wilson, Josh.
Yeah, after doing that.
After doing this, I thought that he was one of those guys who wanted to fight for everything that he got. He was a third-round draft pick out of Wisconsin, but I did not like how he basically told his team, hey, you need to pay me the money. Because, once again, I look at all of these quarterbacks who are the highest-paid average quarterbacks, and none of them set me off. You know why? Because Tom Brady isn't even close in that list. And he has 6 Super Bowl rings, man.
Because he does it for the team.
He does it for the team.
He'll take a pay cut to win a Super Bowl.
And I don't get that. I don't get why. I thought that Russell Wilson was that guy. I seriously thought he was, because I bet he would want to keep Doug Baldwin. I bet he would want to keep Bobby Wagner, because I bet he would have wanted to keep Richard Sherman. I bet he would have wanted to keep Earl Thomas. I bet he would have wanted to keep all those guys. But now, for the next 4 years, you have lost a lot of money in your cap space due to one player who has one playoff win in the past 4 years, has one playoff win in the past 4 seasons. And it's a team game. Of course it is a team game. But what is the most important position on the field? It's the quarterback. And when I look at the last team that they beat was a 1-point victory over the Minnesota Vikings on the shanked Blair Walsh field goal, that Minnesota would have won that game.
They should have.
They absolutely should have. That was the only game that they have won in the playoffs in the past 4 years. This past season, they lost to Dallas in the first round. Russell Wilson, he looked phenomenal. He tried to bring his team to a win, but they couldn't do it because, once again, their defense was not the same. As you said, it's not the Legion of Boom anymore. No. It's not. But also, you need more pieces of your defense then. But you can't do that anymore. You just signed a 4-year, $140 million deal, $35 million per year. The next highest is Aaron Rodgers. What did we say? You signed your team away to one guy who apparently isn't even going to listen to the head coach, who isn't even going to listen to the plays that are going to be called. And when I saw Russell Wilson, I said, man, I'm surprised that this guy, and I do not believe that he should be the highest paid quarterback. I believe that Tom Brady should be the highest paid quarterback. The man has won 6 Super Bowls. The difference is that he will take a pay cut for the team. Give me all the players, man. I don't care. But I also believe that is Bill Belichick saying, look, that's not the Patriot way. We don't do that. Jimmy Garoppolo has started 12 games in his career, and he makes $32 million a year. He is up there with one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and he has only started 12 games in his career. That is insane.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
I can't believe that at all. And Matthew Stafford is in that list too. Matthew Stafford.
And what is it? What
has
the
Lions done?
Yes.
Exactly. You're signing your team away, and I thought that the Seahawks were different.
Yeah, so for me, I was sort of shocked when Russell Wilson said that. You know, he is a good quarterback. I thought he had a great attitude, but it goes back to the fact that the NFL is a business. It's a business, straight up. It's a job, and you're looking to make money as much as you can, you know. With regular jobs, you get, like, pay raises, promotions, you know, but in the NFL, you're just begging for the most money because you want to be successful. But, I don't think the fans really see how much of a business it really is. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm just saying how much of a business the NFL is. Those players just want to make the most money.
But I also look and I see how this is very strange to me because of his wife and also the person that he is. He has endorsements. He makes money from endorsements and sponsorships that allow him to make a lot of money still outside of football. And when I see this, I go, what? You deserve $35 million a year? When you have won one Super Bowl, I'll give you that. Nice job. And you were also 1 yard away from winning another. You were 1 yard away. Let's not forget that.
Come on, Pete. You should have ran the ball.
But you were one yard away from winning another. But the thing that I still just do not get is the fact that you think that you deserve $35 million when Tom Brady has played in 9 Super Bowls in his career. He has played for 18 years, and in half of those years, he has been in the Super Bowl. The New England Patriots, since 2011, have been representing the AFC in the AFC Championship game every single year. Now, the other team is a different team, but the Patriots are one of the teams who will be in the AFC Championship game for the past 8 years now. And he doesn't get anywhere near it. Now, people are going to say, well, his wife makes more than he does. Well, screw you. That's what I think. He should make a lot of money. He's won 6 Super Bowls. he completed the greatest comeback in NFL history. A 28-3 lead by the Atlanta Falcons. What does he get? I'll take a pay cut. Give me more players, please. I don't see that with Russell Wilson now. Who's their running back? Yeah, I don't even know. Because they had a run game this past season. Now, they're not going to be able to bring any big name in. And also, the problem with the Seahawks right now is their offensive line.
Yes.
If there is one quarterback that I know who can absolutely take the brunt of the hit, it's Russell Wilson because of his terrible offensive line. Well, now you can't bring any big-name offensive linemen in because, once again, $140 million off the table. Remember, we talked about notable free agencies in 2020. Well, now Russell Wilson's off the table. For 4 years, $140 million, which is crazy. And I still don't think he deserves it. And this is also another crazy stat. He is in the same category as Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins makes $28 million a year. Kirk Cousins makes $28 million a year.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins does not deserve $28 million a year for the crap he's done in Washington. Let me ask you something. Name a time Kirk Cousins has came up big in a big game against a big name team?
I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. Because they had a chance this past season against the defending champs. Against the New England Patriots. They had a chance. They played New England. Kirk Cousins did not get it done in the regular season, I mean. But in big games like that, Kirk Cousins has not gotten it done. My mistake, though, Jimmy Garoppolo is being paid $23.5 million, actually.
You're fired.
Oh, man.
No,
Excuse me, it's $27.5 million. I'm wrong again. I'm sorry. It's $27.5 million he's being paid. He has started 12 games in his career, and he is being paid $8 million less than Russell Wilson. But probably $20 million more than the greatest quarterback that has ever lived. He's probably making that much more than Tom Brady.
But going back to Kirk Cousins, I want to say I've seen him win one big game, and that was in Seattle. That bombed Josh Doxson.
Oh, okay.
That was probably the only game I remember, and that was like the day before my birthday. So that was probably a birthday wish the Redskins granted for me. But
the only big game that I can remember that Kirk Cousins has won was a game where he actually had to come in as a backup. It was the Baltimore game back when RG3 got hurt. That was probably the only big game where I saw him step up as a quarterback.
That was the best game of my entire life in that game. When RG3, Redskins came 2-6, and they ran the table. In RG3, he didn't protect himself, obviously, but he came in, Kirk Cousins did, and beat the game, beat the Ravens, and they ended up making it to the playoffs, and I thought that was amazing. So, but he wasn't starting. And, Kirk Cousins is up here in Minnesota, and Minnesota's O-line isn't the best, in my opinion, and he still hasn't won games. And did they even make the playoffs this year?
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't make it
because
because
I'm just trying to remember
Chicago
that.
won the NFC North,
Yes,
and the
that's
wild
right.
card was given to Seattle and Philly. Those were the two wild cards.
Yes, because the Redskins had to beat Philly for the Vikings to get into the playoffs, and you know what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, it's so much fun talking about the NFL during the offseason and looking back on all those memories. Yeah. Any other NFL topics?
Yes, of course, because coming up next week, we will be having our draft special coming up, of course. We'll have some new hardware for you, some actual new mics so you can actually hear other people besides me and Josh.
Yeah, instead of CJ moving the mic over to the third
It's all we have here, man, okay?
Hey,
but
we're just trying to make a living here.
But we will have some experts, I guess you could say, on our show.
Special guests.
Special guests, of course, to talk some NFL draft stock with you. And give our thoughts on the upcoming NFL draft. We will talk more on social media about what we plan to talk about on the show, of course, but we're very excited for next week because the NFL draft is a great time of the year, and it's a very exciting night for a lot of college football players out there. So that'll be coming up next week.
Yeah. So a lot to catch up on playoffs and whatnot in the next week after that. So let's get our nose to the grindstone. Any last thoughts, CJ?
Nope, it was a good one.
Yeah, always a pleasure doing this with you, sir. I don't know how many times I've said it, but it's always a pleasure. So
I feel like every time.
Yep. We're wrapping things up here. Thank you once again for tuning into my podcast. I'm shortening things down because CJ just hates when I say the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast.
It's a lot of words, but it's our title. So.
Yeah, you know. But anyways, thanks to Rat 11 for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Yes, my podcast. I'm shortening things. out here, just laugh in the background. But we're part of the Mayo Please Podcast Network. Thank you to Rat 11 Chips for sponsoring this episode. As always, check them out, Martin's Food Line Giant. Thank you to Dave Johnson for our intro, as always. And Mild Swagger, Cosmo, PremiumBeat.com. Check us out, the Mayo Please, on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can see all our episodes there. We're on YouTube still, the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, I think I covered it all. Just search the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. You should be able to find it on those
We're unique
platforms.
like that. It'll come up.
Yeah, hopefully it will. But anyways, until next time, Josh and CJ signing off, and can't wait to be with you next week for the draft special. Till next time, we say so long.